Greetings, I'm Adam Carlson from Chip Theory Games. Thank you for joining me today. I have with me Boomer, one of the starting characters for our game, Too Many Bones. I wanted to give you a little overview of her. She's got her reference sheet here. Boomer starts with, she's got 16 unique dice here, her 4-stat dice, initiative die, and we've got a chip for her as well. We're going to dive in here. I'm going to roll her initiative die. This determines her placement on the initiative meter. Boomer is relatively quick compared to most Gearlocks, so she'll be rolling some higher numbers. I rolled a 5, so I go higher. I go before the baddie with the 5 initiative in this case. But yeah. I want to give an overview of the skills here. Boomer is very, very unique in that. Actually, let's start with the innate. On the back of this reference sheet here, we've got the innate plus 1. Boomer starts with element, casing, fuse, and boom counter skills. So these dice, if you'll see, they actually start right on the mat when Boomer starts her adventure. The element, casing, and fuse are simply component dice. They're just sitting here now to show that I have them available to me. It doesn't matter what side is face up for these. The boom counter over here, however, it does matter. Boomer is collecting the components to increase her boom counter, and this determines how many grenades that she's carrying with her at the time. So it's important that we show that this starts at 0 as we roll the components. And on Boomer's turn, even right off the bat, she has access to 1 attack and 2 defense dice, and all 3 of these component dice without even any training. And with 3 dexterity, she's got choices. For solo, she's probably going to lead off with some defense dice, but if she's comfortable and or towards the end of the battle, she may end up wanting to stockpile on components. This roll that I just did here, let me just put them on here so we can see them easier. We've got 2 casing. I rolled 1 fuse and 1 element. Now, when I roll them, I don't have to take the result. If I don't like it, I can bank it and roll it the next turn. However, you know, if the game is winding down with the battle, I may want to just bank them. So I'm going to put them all up here. They go in the locked slot. Now, to make a boom counter, anytime on my turn, I can downtick these by 1. And with these 2 downticking by 1, they end up going to the exhaust spot. And after I've spent 1 of each of the components, I increase my boom counter by 1. So that's how that works. Now, let's say the battle is over. Notice how these end up getting stored in the lock spot, and you can see next to the symbol, next to casing, we have an I for instant, L is for locked. Locked means it can sit here while you have these components. Now, at the end of the battle, I may want to just leave that there, and these go back here, and for the next battle, now I just have to roll these 2 to collect components, and then I can make another boom counter. However, 1 is kind of low. I can just simply choose to exhaust it and put it in there at the end of the battle so that I'm ready to roll all 3 for the next one, because I do want numbers higher than 1. That's not very good. But the average is really somewhere between 1 and 2. There's one miss. There's some 2s and 3. A 3 is the max. Definitely wanting to be saving some 3s. So anyways, that's how that works. The boom counter maxes at 3. There is no 4. So it'll be 0 to 3. Yeah, so I'm going to put that away. Yeah, by the way, okay. Now let's move on to the Grenadier dice. We've got number 5 and 6, and 9 and 10. All right, now understand that it takes a skill point to unlock these. However, even though these are all grenades in nature, what's unique about Boomer is she needs to have a boom counter for each and every single grenade that she throws during combat. So let's say Boomer has 2 boom counters going into the battle. Now understand that she can still keep collecting these, but once they've exhausted, or if she carry this over and use the components and exhaust, she can't increase her boom counter anymore during this battle. So that you only have one chance really to increase the boom counter with these dice. But now into the battle, we've got 2. That means we have access really to 2 of these 4. The frag grenade is a very popular one. The side shows small explosion. Do number damage to unit in this position and half damage round down to all units in adjacent positions from that position. Interesting. Notice how it didn't say anything about the target. Now, we have on the back side a nice little section on making grenades and tailoring and using, but you have me, so I'm going to just kind of walk you through it. Now, Boomer, on her turn, she can roll. She has to pick a target to roll attack dice on. So let's say she wants to roll them, and she chooses the Bog Frog. For every single grenade that she throws, also, she must designate the position in which she's throwing the grenade. So for this one, I'm going to throw it on the position in which the clay golem is standing. So I've got my target and I've got my position for the frag grenade. And I roll them. So I've done 2 damage to the Bog Frog. 1, 2. And 3 damage to the clay golem. So 1, 2, 3. And half damage to each of these 4 positions. Now, if I was standing here, I would even take damage. So 3 half damage round down is 1. But fortunately, I'm farther away, and I probably would have played it differently had I been standing there. But 3 damage, and then 1 more splash damage to the frog, leaving only 1 HP left. But that was a very, very effective turn. Notice I took 6 HP. So that's the frag grenade. Very, very popular. Again, once used, not only do I have to down-tick my boom counter just as I roll it, but also it's exhausted, and I will not have access to this die again until the next battle. The Big Boom, a little bit different. Big Boom, we're going to look at that one as well. Control blast, do number damage to all baddies, and then there's something called a party backlash. If you see the skull here on the lower left-hand corner, multiple, that's not good. Deal number damage to all party members, including self. So there's a couple of backlashes, but again, very, very effective when rolling against multiple baddies. So in this case, the Big Boom does 2 damage to all baddies. 1, 2, that one's gone. 1, 2, that one's gone. And 1, that one's gone. And I had no party backlash, so I keep all of my HP. So you can see how effective this potentially can be, even though the numbers are still 1 and 2. A great lead-off skill. Again, exhausted when used. We have a stunner. Now notice how when I was talking about the target for attack dice, but also you needed to pick a position in which you threw the stunner. Now, this stunner has all 5s. That means a level 5 baddie and below can be targeted and affected. If there was a level 20 baddie, this would not work. And also, we have a red bone here. So you'll find oftentimes on the grenades especially, the red bones must use this in your backup plan. We would call this kind of a critical fail. So if rolled and you land on a red bone, let's say I had picked this position in which the clay golem was on, and I rolled that, it has no effect on the clay golem. The stun will not happen. In fact, the bone will go into here. Now, I can use it as a throw odds on my target, whatever my target was, not necessarily whatever was on that position, but I had a target too. But anyways, I must take that result. All grenades will have, or most all of them will have that fail red bone. So they are a risk, but they're a high reward because they take a lot of resources to make. The napalm is, we're going to just read this again. We've got, at the start of this baddie's turn, it takes number damage times that many rounds. And there's also a backlash. And the backlash is automatic, and it's just a one-time deal. So backlash is deal 1 to self in this case. So fortunately, it's only Boomer that's vulnerable to backlash in this one. But if I wanted to throw it in this position, it's a 2 times 1. So I simply place that on there. And when we get to the Clay Golem's turn, at the start of his turn, he will automatically take 2 HP, and this effect will then be exhausted. So in many ways, it's similar to a poison, I guess. A 2x2 means it will stay there, and you will down tick this to 2x1 after it took its first 2. And then on round 2, at the start of his turn, he will take an additional 2 damage. And then this die is finally exhausted. So you have to keep an eye on how many rounds it lasts. We have a 2x3. That's incredible. So anyways, that's the napalm. So those are the core offensive grenades. Again, every one of these requires a boom counter to throw. Let's take a look at the utility bomber. We have even more grenades. Boomer has actually 7 grenades at her disposal. That's these 4 from the Grenadier and these 3 from the utility. All 7 of these use our boom counter to throw. The smoke grenade. Let's take a look at that. The next number baddie attacks made on this selected gearlock will miss. So, interesting. So, she will actually throw a smoke grenade to a specific position, not necessarily on herself, but perhaps maybe on Tantrum. So again, if she rolls it for Tantrum, she's got to pick the position before she rolls it. Again, she'll have her own attack. She'll have, if she has another grenade, she'll pick a spot for that grenade. So all these positions have to be picked before the roll. Now this will go on Tantrum's active slot. And the next attack made on Tantrum, this is not like untargetable. Tantrum will be targeted as if he was a real target, and Tantrum will simply avoid the, I'm just looking it up here, the skills and damage for that attack. And then this will be exhausted in Boomer's exhausted spot. She does have a 2 on this one as well. And if Boomer wants to put it on herself, there we go. The next 2 attacks made on Boomer. Again, this is the counter. So 2 down to 1, and then 1 down to 0. Perfect. We have a Sonic Cleanse. Notice how we have a baddie that has Weaken. If I got Weaken on me, and, well, let's say I got Poison and Weaken. I took 2 damage from the poison. I'm down ticking, and I want to do a Sonic Cleanse because I'm kind of doomed. Plus, it would help Tantrum. The Sonic Cleanse, excuse me, when it's active, remove all negative effect dice from party and prevent new effect dice, negative effect dice from being applied to party. Reduce by 1 at the start of your turn. So, again, multi-turn, it's a counter. She will roll this. It doesn't really need a position, except that she just will say, I'm going to roll this. And as soon as it lands on a 1 or a 2, all negative effect dice will be wiped from the gearlocks. And as long as that's up, now at the start of her turn, it down ticks to 1. And then at the start of her next turn, it would be exhausted. So that's 2 full rounds, starting with Boomer's turn. That no negative effect, including Poison, including Weaken. So very, very effective against Bogs, for sure. Flashbang. This is a little different. Flashbang is a disable. Place a disable effect die on this baddie if its points total is equal to or less than the number. Now notice how we've got some 1s and some 5s. Okay? We've got 3 1s and 3 5s. Now, disable is a significant skill. These 3 baddies happen to be a level 1. But if this was a level 5 baddie, and I want to pick that position and roll it, I need to make sure I land at 5, and then it will affect this baddie, in which I will place a disable effect die, and it turns off poison 2 for the remainder of the battle, all the rounds. It's incredible. So that actually renders this baddie useless at this point. However, if I did roll a 1 and this was a level 5 baddie, unfortunately, you did not get anything that would affect that, but the grenade has already been used and thrown and exhausted with no effect. So probably just pick and choose what you want to do. For the ones, it's 100% effective. That's the other benefit. There are no bones on this one. However, it's a little harder to get it on a 5. So it might be worth the risk, though. So that's the utility bomber. We have Keen Eye. The skills down here. Excuse me. So number 13 die is Body Search. That's this one here. We got some interesting sides here. These 2 are actually a wild component. Much like the 1, 2, and 3, understand that these are a single component. This one actually by itself has a 2 and a 1 and can be placed up there. And you can use whatever component that you want and just down tick it. So we've got a fuse element. I don't have my casing. I can use this as a casing. So I can down tick this by 1. I can down tick this by 1, and this is also a counter. And up goes my boom counter, just like that. And again, if I use the last one, then this is exhausted. What's cool about it is none of these dice are grenades. So once I unlock it, it's part of my, it's available to me. So she also has a buff. We call it a buff HP. Add number HP to your prep area when taking damage. Remove this buff HP first. If the buff reaches 0, exhaust die. Okay, so this is just for Boomer. As soon as she rolls it and applies it, she's obviously going to want to take that one. That's a nice one. That goes up there, and then she's got a 3 HP. These are removed when she's damaged before this one's removed, except if it was true damage, then she would just lose this. But this is very, very nice. On that same die, we also have a loot. Again, when she rolls it, she can exhaust it and instantly draw 1 loot and add it to her. We happen to draw the treasure trove map. I love it. Okay, Bigger Boom. Let's see. That's this one here. I'm just going to lock them in. Bigger Boom has an interesting looking symbol. Let's see here. Increase the damage of your frag and big boom grenades by 1. Okay, so we've got some 1s on here. We got some bones, and we have a 2. The reason why this is really, really nice is it doesn't take a grenade to roll. So, again, if she only has 1 boom counter, she wants to make it really count. You add that to the grenade. And now we have a combo of picking the same position to throw this and boosting it with that. And the splash damage, the half damage to adjacent, is huge. Yeah, that was not a very good roll. But this is the best potential roll. So we've got 6 damage to a single position, plus 3 damage. So you can imagine the potential with the Big Boom. Big Boom is nice. Again, no grenade needed to roll that. Search for 325. Searching for 325, first of all, has double bone sides, which is incredible. We have a +1 Holy Hand Grenade, which is a consumable. So when you roll this, you exhaust it, and this die goes in spot number 16, available to you. Yet another grenade. It also has element 325 on there. If you do end up rolling that, instead of exhausting it, you can place it in your locked slot. And I'll tell you why in a second. And then we have a +1 grenade. So if you roll that, you exhaust it and you add 1 to the boom counter. If you had a maximum of 3 on your boom counter already, this side does not help you. but you don't have to use the result. You just put it back in here and roll it your next turn for a different result. So the element 325. So let's say I got the Holy Hand Grenade, the battle before, and now I got the element 325. I'm locking it in, and I want to roll it. Well, it goes with the Holy Hand Grenade. We've got two numbers on that. So we've got deal number damage. Use the white numbers unless element 325 is applied. If it's applied, use the teal numbers. Alright, so now there's two symbols. We've got small explosion symbol and we've got controlled blast. So very important what position you choose. Oftentimes you'll be hoping for a small explosion, but if it ends up being controlled blast, it'll still damage everybody. The awesome thing about this one is it has no backlash, no party backlash. So again, if I pick a position in which to throw it, the damage is applied to that position. If it's a 2, then I'm doing 2 damage to this baddie, 1 damage to this baddie, and then Tantrum will take 1 because he's adjacent to that. That blue, that teal number, though, if I roll it, I must exhaust this in order to roll it, and then when it's rolled, then I apply that damage to the position that I chose. And it's not just 2 damage anymore. It is now 5 damage, and then 2 damage, and 2 damage to the adjacent positions. Very good. So that's very, very nice. The Bag of Booms, die number 12, here is components, wild components. Similar to the body search that I showed you, more ways to get components. And there's a side with a +1 grenade. Again, that's something that if you land, you get to increase your boom counter by 1, provided it's not already at 3. This is rolled. Let me just see here. So, instant locks and counter. So when you get this item, you use it as part of your dex if you want to roll, and whatever you get, you lock it in. And if it's a grenade, and it's exhausted after the grenade is used, or it's exhausted after this counter reaches 0. And then it goes back until it's earned again. These are the consumables. All right. So a lot to take in for Boomer. One thing I forgot to mention is the innate +1. So now we talked about how Boomer starts with these 4 dice, the innate +1. Not only, in addition to these 4, she automatically adds +1 to all element casing and fuse roll results, and it says increases die by 1. So when Boomer rolls these, she can rest assured guarantee a component of that very type, which is really cool. Now I rolled a 3. The 3 can't be upticked further because that's how it says it needs to increase the die, so it's maxed at 3. However, I did benefit from gaining this from a 1 to a 2 and a 1 to a 2, and all of a sudden with that very roll I got 2 full grenades, which of course I'm going to do right now, and just like that. And what's also cool about the lock slot is after I max out at 3 in the boom counter, that doesn't mean that you have to stop rolling components. Understand that you can still roll these and lock them in and carry them, and essentially, I suppose theoretically you could have 6 grenades with you if you're sitting on 3 and you've got 3 ready to go. But keep in mind, using up those lock slots prevents you from being able to get the 325 and one other, the Bag of Booms, the body search. So it can be a good idea to carry in that many components, but that's pretty rare. And let's see, we're going to move on to, we've got the backup plan. The backup plan, throw odds. Again, on the back of the reference sheet, we've got the list of the backup plan. Breakdown, throw odds, thump target for 1 damage. Now, understand that that's just the target. So if Boomer was throwing, attacking and that's where the attack dice come into play, and she has to pick a target. So she does too. Now, thump target for 1 damage if she has a bone here. So she can use that for her backup plan. And this is her only option for doing the damage. It's just the target. And this baddie's been defeated. Search again. Reroll any 1 scavenger die. And this is the scavenger profession. So that's nice. Again, with 2 bones in the backup plan, I want to re-roll this, so I'm going to spin these, and you can instantly re-roll it right on the spot. Unfortunately, I didn't improve, but that could be very, very important if you really need a grenade going into the next round. Oh, a really quick note on the innate +1. I noticed that I rolled a 1-1-3. We talked about the 3 capping at 3, and I couldn't increase it from the innate +1. Now, if you roll a bone, that's considered a 0. I mentioned that you are guaranteed a component roll. So that's how you do that. You just uptick the bone from 0 to 1 and lock it in, or use it, or don't use it. So, yeah. Back to backup plan number 3. 3 bones, bluff bomb. Select any occupied position. That unit is immediately repositioned to an adjacent position of Boomer's choice. Oh, that could be interesting. So, this doesn't even take a grenade. It's just 4 bones. So after Boomer rolls, she can decide to spend 4 bones, pick a spot, or literally pick a baddie, and move it. Shift it over 1 position. I've got some options here. If I want Tantrum to be able to step up and do, I could possibly want to, I could shift the range baddie forward 1. Again, this is not a movement. This is simply me throwing a bluff bomb and forcing them to reposition. At 4 bones, we have throw-ins. Up here, throw odds is 1. Throw-ins is thwack target for 3. So it's kind of the upgraded version of the throw odds. So, a lot of bones. Bluff bomb was actually 3 bones, not 4. Throw-ins is 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 damage to the target. So, again, we can really stack up some damage here. And that's the best way to actually chew through the clay golem. She can pick the clay golem as her target. Now, she doesn't necessarily have to roll attack dice, but she can roll grenades to neighboring baddies or on the target. Break doesn't really affect the grenades because these aren't even attack dice. And then she can use throw-ins, take 3 away from the golem, and no attack dice were exhausted from the break from using that. So that's very, very effective. And then she actually has a full lineup of backup plan. It's kind of unusual for a Gearlock to have something at every tier. Hide at 5 is place untargetable effect die on yourself. So this is a defensive play. At 5 bones, after rolling, Boomer will be able to remove those dice and place an untargetable, which is that leaf, and it goes right on here. Effect dice go on the baddie itself. Now that means, and we have the Gearlock Adventuring Reference Guide here. This is all alphabetical. Untargetable. Until the start of this unit's next turn, it cannot be targeted by opposing units. So, again, the entire round goes by. These baddies, without Tantrum there, they literally would not move and they would not attack because she's untargetable. And then the next round goes on. And that's very, very cool. If we get into the fatigue round and the baddies are low HP, that's a great way of playing defense. So, we've got, let's see, we covered the innate, in 8+1, we covered all the skills, including the components. The stats, they're the same for all the gear locks. We covered active and locked, the backup plan. So, yep, that's Boomer. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for joining me, and Adam out.